Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. The record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
The record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orit Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Orit Connor, and I have in the studio with me now Mrs. Paulette Connolly, who is the Deputy Director of Radio Cayman. She has been with Radio Cayman for 34 years. She started at age 19 on September 29th, 1980. So, Paulette, by saying that you started at age 19, I'm sort of like giving away your age, but there's nothing to worry about. That youthful face there, you don't have to worry about it at all.
I'm one of those ladies who's not ashamed of their age.
Great. And later on, she's going to be giving us some excerpts from the 1966 report of the Legislative Assembly on sound broadcasting and TV in the Cayman Islands. But before we get to that and the E&Y report, we have two callers on the line, so we're going to take those callers now. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ivan. How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine, O.C. and Paulette.
Good morning, Mr. Ivan.
Don't worry about him getting ready to age, sweetheart. That's just a number, okay?
That's right.
Yours like some of the rest of us age to perfection.
Aye.
What happened to you yesterday? I didn't see you when we stopped at the gas station.
No, I hadn't got home yet.
You mean you were out all night?
All right. I got a little radio station to last, I believe. I want to deal on postal service.
Okay, yes.
For the last 12 or 15 years, I would try to get them bring that up to national standard. Right now, it costs me 25 cents CI to mail a letter from hell to the West Bay Post Office, a postcard. But I can mail that same postcard any part of the United States, Canada, the Caribbean for 20 cents, Cayman. Less. I don't know why they cannot put that up to national standard. It costs that same postage from United States, if they want to mail from United States to here, $1.15. And from Canada, it is more, like $1.30. So we can mail from here for 25 cents U.S. I don't know why. To me, it don't make no sense. But we lost some money. I don't know why they cannot put the postage up to the national standard.
Okay.
Go
ahead, caller, sorry.
It's not that I never tried. The ministers, the postmistress, everybody I can talk to, I've been talking to. And they're taking care of it, but long time coming.
Okay, if I may, and we're going to take your comments on Radio Cayman, but since you raised the Postal Service, and I'm looking at the Ernst & Young report here, and paragraph 11.1, it states, commercialize and then exit in relation to the Postal Service. This option involves the immediate pursuit of a commercialization of the postal services and expanding the offering. There exists a number of opportunities to improve utilization, increase revenues, like you've said, and reduce costs within the Cayman Islands Postal Service. The overarching focus being that of establishing a commercial focus to minimize the cost of the service to the Cayman Islands government and likely through a joint venture attract private operators to the table in the long term. Once the service has achieved a commercial footing, it is proposed that government exit the postal service to a private operator or sell down a portion of its ownership. So that's what the Ernst & Young report is. Privatization at some point in time, government exit it altogether, um, or or sell a portion of its ownership. So that is there, and maybe it's something to look at. I mean, you have these other commercial services, Sprint, DHL, and all of them. Maybe some sort of partnership can be had with them, because the postal service does have a customer base.
Yes. I still maintain that if we bring it up, the postage up to the national standard, all these Caymanians that got a job in the postal service will still have their job and wouldn't cost government anymore.
Okay. And what are your views on Radio Cayman?
By no means sell it. Keep it. That is the only thing we got here during the hurricanes and anything. This stays there and informs us. Do not sell it. And then we got Caymanians there that would be out of job. Leave that how it is. It's a well-needed service, and under no circumstances sell that. What we can do is try to get more advertisement and stuff and cut down some of the costs, but that is money well spent. Radio Cayman.
Yep. One of the things that they talk about there is the fact, talk about commercialization, and we do know that Radio Cayman is community based, but then we do see a lot of requests for public announcements, but they're coming in also from commercial businesses that want to say, oh, we've promoted such and such a person or whatever. If they go to the Caymanian campus with that, they pay for this for that space in the newspaper, and maybe the management of Radio Cayman here needs to look more into that in terms of charging any commercial station out there. That's what they're going to have to pay for that. But we have one more caller on the line. That caller lost. We lost that caller. So I want you to continue to listen, Mr. Ivan. We're going to be talking some more, and I know you're a history buff as well. So when Paulette starts to talk about the Legislative Assembly in 1966, I know that you're going to be able to recognize that as well. So I know you have an interest in that. She's going to be reading some excerpts.
Were you trying to tell the listening public that
how old you are?
I was around from 66.
The devil has always been around from Adam and Eve.
I can listen.
Okay, thanks for calling. So I told you, my loyal listeners, that we have in the studio with us Mrs. Paulette Connolly, 34 years with Radio Cayman, and she has some historical information for us, as well as first-hand knowledge of the workings of Radio Cayman. Miss Paulette, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to the entire Cayman Islands. It's a pleasure to be with you in another capacity this morning. I was kind of hesitant when you asked me to come on the show, but as the deputy director, it's my duty and responsibility to keep our listeners informed. And I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Richard Arch. We all call him Mr. Dick Arch, who a few years back gave me a copy of some correspondence and also the report that went to the Legislative Assembly. And I'm going to try and read a small portion of a letter that was written from the President of the Legislative Assembly in 1963 to the members at that time. Now, when this was written, OC, I was 3 years old. And it says, it's not very legible, so forgive me if I read it a little bit slow. It says, in 1963, the government of the Cayman Islands asked the Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation to investigate the possibility of transmitting its television program to this territory, meaning the Cayman Islands. The result of this investigation shared that the cost of erecting large transmission and reception towers at Montego Bay and at the eastern end of Grand Cayman, respectively, was prohibitive, and the matter was shelved. However, it says the overall development of the Cayman Islands in recent years has disclosed the need for local sound broadcasting service for the transmission of news and programs for the entertainment and education of the public. Preliminary investigations undertaken by a committee appointed by the administrator to look into this matter indicate that the cost of purchasing and maintaining a suitable broadcasting station capable of reaching the three islands is within the financial means of this territory. Now we're going to fast forward now to 1966, and it says the committee was established and its terms of reference laid out by letter W-226 of the 26th of January, issued by His Honor Mr. J.A. Cumber, MBE, Administrator of the Cayman Islands. And the members of the committee were appointed. Chairman was Honorable Eldon E. Cockernell. The other members were Mr. K.P. Tibbets, Mr. Richard Arch, Mr. G.B. Ruddy, Mr. B.O.E. Banks Jr., Honorable T.W. Farrington, CBE JP, and Mr. A.B. Bush JP. And it says that the committee sat on 7 different occasions. It also says that, let me find the page here, the committee was unanimous in its recommendation that commercially sponsored broadcasts would also be needed to produce revenue, but that such commercial airtime should be restricted to weekdays only. Now, this was in 1966. They debated this over the years, and 10 years later, in 1976, they tested the first signal. Now, back in those days, OC, we used pounds, shillings, and pence, and the estimated cost to erect Radio Cayman was £40,000. Now that included all of the equipment, that included tape stock for the machines that they used in those days for the news, the vehicle, the air conditioning, the insurance, the freight, the power supply, all of those things. And it was also estimated that the recurrent expenditure per year was a total of £8,020.
And I think at that time in 1966, and I'll ask anyone in our listening audience to correct me if I'm wrong, but we were probably still grant aided by the UK, which meant that we probably got some budgetary assistance from the UK at that point in time, but I stand to be corrected.
And it also said Messrs. Cable and Wireless Limited could undertake the technical operations and maintain the contract. This was at the beginning of the station. So on April 6, 1976, Radio Cayman went on air. Now, it was also suggested, and that's the way that we got started, that the times of broadcast were staggered. You had morning time, lunchtime, and evening time. And then as we got more programming, the times of broadcast was extended. You may recall, I don't know if you used to listen to those programs like the Clitheroe Kid and House of Gold and all those programs. When we started to get those programs from the BBC, then they went a little longer in the evenings.
Right.
In the evenings. It also said that the amount of recorded material was freely available to the broadcasting stations from the BBC Transcription Service and the U.S. Information Service, which we really don't use the U.S. Information Service today, but we still use the BBC transcription programs.
And you still get that for free as well?
And no, some of the programs we have to pay for, but the BBC that you hear non-stop from 12 midnight on 89.9 FM until 6 a.m. in the morning, that comes via satellite, so we don't have to pay for that. We don't have to pay for that.
And a lot of people in the Cayman Islands rely on that BBC News still.
Most definitely. Most definitely. If you want to know how many people listen to that, you just make the dish go out, or we have bad weather or something happen and they can't hear that. It's like, it's the calls, we can't man the number of calls that we get. The report also says that because of the cost of TV in those days, which I read earlier, the idea was shelved. They put it on hold. But we have CIG TV today. But this was thought about from 1963.
And the population of Cayman Islands, I know in 1977, when the population was about 13,000 inhabitants in the Cayman Islands, because the school that I went to in New York, the university, had a student population that was larger than the population in the Cayman Islands.
Yes, it says normally small broadcasting stations acquire their news from newspaper sources which provide a 24-hour service. Now this I'm reading from the report, but it says the two weekly newspapers published in Cayman are scarcely geared to provide the full service required by a broadcasting station, but doubtless many news snippets and announcements will be telephoned direct to a broadcasting station, and a working system would soon evolve.
An idea for who those two newspapers, because I know you mentioned also that before you came to Radio Cayman, you worked with the late Desmond Seals.
Yes, and the Northwester, and
that's probably the Northwestern, the Caymanian Weekly, I wonder.
I think so. I should know it, but it doesn't come to mind right at the moment. Radio Cayman is the lifeblood of the Caymanian people. There is no substitution for Radio Cayman. There is no turning Radio Cayman into something that the people will not recognize or cannot hold on to as their own. The track record that we have, it also shows that as well as being a public broadcast station, because we are in a sense a public broadcast station because of all the public announcements that we have to do for the community. But on the other half of it, we're also a commercial station as well. We're the best of both worlds because we have an excellent sales staff who sell the products and services of Radio Cayman like no other sales staff at any other entity on the island. We're number one for news. All the surveys that have been done will tell you that Radio Cayman is number one for news.
One of our very astute callers has called in and said that the two newspapers at the time was the Caymanian Weekly and the Trade Winds.
Yes, I knew. Yes.
Thank you, caller, listener, for that. Thank you very much.
When it talks about the station selling commercials from its inception and about having that revenue making source, one of the biggest revenue making sources is the churches.
Really?
Yes, really.
Well, we do know they have lots of money.
We just
and property.
Well, I'm not going to go down that route today because I don't want to get excommunicated from my church. So, but this year we had our 38th anniversary church service at the Church of God Universal, right there on Walker's Road, opposite Truthview School, and we honored the Church of God Universal. They're one of our longest serving commercial clients. They've been on the air for 37 years. Out of the 38 years we've been on the air.
Wow.
So the churches pay for those programs that you hear on Sunday. And they pay for the programs because it's a service that they want to provide not only to their members but to the community on a whole, to the shut-ins, to the older people who can't get to church anymore. And also they have a commission. The commission they go by is the one that Jesus Christ himself gave us, go into all the world and preach the gospel. And so, upholding our Caymanian heritage, the churches use Radio Cayman for that avenue. The Radio Cayman provides unbiased and fair reports of the government plans and policies through our news coverage and talk programs. At any time of the day, the desired government can use the station as a public forum to get across their policies and procedures to the people of the Cayman Islands. The station is the only provider of reliable electronic media service to the sister islands of Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Now, I know that Rooster also broadcasts up there, but Rooster, from time to time, have problems, and we are competitive, but we also help each other, you know. So this is especially important during hurricane season or threats of national emergency. We are the only provider of BBC services in the islands, which include the rebroadcast of science and history programs. We are the only provider of free programs and special projects for all other government departments. We are the only electronic media house that carries current affair programs live, including but not limited to National Heroes Day, the Queen's Birthday Parade, the state opening of the Legislative Assembly, the opening of the Grand Court, the Memorial Day Parade, the Chamber of Commerce sponsored elections debate on all three islands, live Sunday church services from local churches on all three islands, National Children's Festival of the Arts. We also carried, as recently, the Royal Wedding Live, the agricultural shows. You know, Radio Cayman is the only provider of the emergency services that broadcast 24 hours for hurricanes, earthquakes, and other disasters.
And later on, Paulette, I want you to talk. And, you know, what we'll try to do also is have some of the staff who went through Hurricane Ivan here in this building, let the public know what they went through to keep Radio Cayman on the air as long as possible. But all of those things that you have mentioned, that you cannot take a monetary value and place on it.
You absolutely can't. You know, Radio Cayman also provides the national education, sports, and cultural programs for the schools, youth, police services, and environmental services. The youth programs that we do on here are second to none. They cannot be compared. Caymanians who are employed by Radio Cayman have served between 15 to 30 years. Most of us do 2 or 3 jobs for the same pay. You know, like all of the civil service on a whole, we have sucked up the pay cuts. We have sucked up not getting increments. We have faithfully given of ourselves, even when there's no pay increase, even when things are tough for us, like other people in the community. We suck it up because we love our job, we love our careers, and we love the people of the Cayman Islands. We are here to serve. You know, I have traveled to do management courses and also to update myself on broadcasting. And when I speak to my colleagues overseas in the same field and hear the things that the perks that they get in their job, and when I tell them how long I've been at Radio Cayman, and I hope I don't get in problems for saying this, but it's the God's honest truth, and they ask me, why do you stay? I stay because this is where I belong. I stay because the community depends on me. I stay because the service that Radio Cayman gives to the community it has to come from your heart.
This is where your heart is.
It can you and if you didn't have that in you, you would not be in radio. And that's what makes Radio Cayman staff so unique. We have the most unique, the most dedicated staff I've come across.
Folks, you're hearing it here on the record. History of Radio Cayman. You're hearing the testimony of the Deputy Director of Radio Cayman, Mrs. Paulette Connolly. I want to remind you, of course, that you're listening to For the Record if you need reminding, but I don't think you need to be reminded. But For the Record is brought to you by Champion House Restaurant 2 and Champion House Cafe. Champion House Restaurant 2 is located on Eastern Avenue, and Champion House Cafe at 1 Butterfield Place, formerly Comart. Champion House is a family-oriented restaurant where locals and others dine. And also, For the Record is brought to you by the Auto Spa on Godfrey Nixon Way. Stop by Radio Cayman or the Auto Spa and ask for your $5 savings coupon for your next full-service wash. When we come back, I will read paragraph 12.1 of the Ernest and Young report. Sell Radio Cayman now. I'm just giving it to you as it says so on here. Sell Radio Cayman now. In all fairness to Ernest and Young and the report, I will read verbatim what they have said in that regard. Please stay tuned. We will be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Dorit Connor, and my guest in the studio with me this morning is Mrs. Paulette Connolly, the Deputy Director of Radio Cayman. We're talking about the Ernest and Young report, but we're talking more in general about the value of Radio Cayman. We've talked about its formation, its inception. We've talked about the commission that was given by the Legislative Assembly to establish a radio station in the Cayman Islands. I'm told that we have 2 callers on the line, so we're going to take those callers now. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am very well, and I would like to say good morning to my Auntie P.
Good morning. I'm great.
I would like to identify myself for this purpose. My name is Charlene Pierce. Did quite a few years at Radio Cayman.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm much older than Auntie P. I remember the day she came to work at Radio Cayman. My idea about Radio Cayman is basically the only thing when I hear about the name that it tells me that I'm home and that it belongs to me. When I heard about Radio Cayman as an idea in the public arena, not having come online yet, not having built, not having gotten any of the contractual agreements out, I was just so excited and so proud that we would finally own something in the Cayman Islands that was modern and that everybody seemed to need because, you know, we were Jamaica, we were Bonaire, and we were BBCing. Everybody of a certain age knows that. And I was just so immensely proud that we were looking in that direction. Well, I don't know where it came from because it wasn't an idea of mine forever. I just decided one day that, you know, I would like to work at Radio Cayman, and I started to get myself ready and decided that I need a little higher education in the field. So I sought that out, and, you know, I had to climb over many hills and many valleys to get that job. I won't go into all that, but I persevered and I got the job. I would like to say that I know I wouldn't be the best now, but at that time I was one of the best at Radio Cayman. I got thrown out of Radio Cayman because of my beliefs at that time, and I wasn't really smart about what I did because all I was trying to make the point is I could feel in my bones that these days would be coming to our country where we would have no control, so on and so forth, but that's almost another conversation. But vis-a-vis to sell off Radio Cayman right now, I wouldn't even go to the nuts and the bolts and what Radio Cayman does and the financing and so on and so forth. Just basic where everybody can understand. Radio Cayman is a tremendous sense of pride to Caymanians. I don't listen to Radio Cayman much. It's just because you're on. Anybody knows me, know that I work in radio. I enjoy working in radio, but I am not necessarily a radio listener. But it's a tremendous sense of pride. It's an emotional thing. And an emotional situation also has a monetary value. And I'll tell you how Caymanians are so downtrodden and kicked in the teeth to let the Georgetown Hospital go what we now know as HSA and Radio Cayman. You have finished us. And I don't care whose fingerprint is on the paper or whose John Henry is on the paper. It's going to finish us. It's an emotional thing with us. Forget what service they give. I feel proud of Radio Cayman. And I don't know you know what I would like to know is which people, which organizations are lined up to make these purchases. That's what would interest me in knowing, not what they're letting go,
Yep.
who they got lined up to make the purchase.
And the
Thank you.
in the E&Y report does say that they understand that the people have expressed an interest in Radio Cayman.
Absolutely. We should have got, because I used to be constantly hollering, like I said, it didn't do it in the right way, but I used to be constantly hollering even then in the 80s and the 70s at management that we need also to have a Radio Cayman television. And Cayman 27 has made many people rich. Couldn't it have made our government rich same way? Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. We have one more caller. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great.
I'm great, Roops.
I had no intention of calling, but since I heard the radio came on the topic, I agree with Charlene. It is the lifeline of Cayman, and that is the one thing that I would say, hold on to the very last. Radio Cayman don't have to be a burden to us. It can make money, and I'm sure it does. Like she said about the churches, I mean, I know the churches make their contribution there, and you know, it's a blessing that God has given us. And time when we got the radio station, the foresight of those that were there then needs to be applied to our people today. We need to own something, and Radio Cayman is one of those things that we need to own. That in our schools, and the police department, I don't think that should ever go out of the hand of government. We must be able to sacrifice to hold something, and those things are essential and necessary for us. I don't make no comment on the report that is made. People make all kinds of reports. It is up to us to decide what we can keep and what we can get rid of. But the reason we got these things is because it was seen necessary to have them.
That's right.
So we can't be too eager to dispose of everything that we got. You know, I mean, well, see, you know, and I know, we've been into some hard times.
That's correct.
But we didn't give up. And even today, when things are tough, we have to have enough sense to manage what we have. And that is the problem with most things. We lose sight of the fact that you can't spend what you don't have and don't pay for it. You know, we'll get in debt unnecessarily because the eyes normally are bigger than the needs. And we want this and we want that. But let's hold on to what we got to the very last. That is what we need to, as a security for our people in the hard times of life. Thank you for listening to me. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you,
Have
Rupes.
a good day too, Mr. Rupert.
You take care. Miss Paulette, I'm going to read just the introduction to the Ernest and Young report. But before I do that, Susan has also pointed out to us that when it comes to Radio Cayman and the other broadcasting stations out there, there are other radio stations, that it is an uneven playing field as well, because on Radio Cayman here we don't advertise liquor and other alcoholic beverages, and as a result of that, sponsorships and commercial space, we lose revenue from that.
That's correct. Some time back, motion was passed in the Legislative Assembly where electronic media cannot advertise alcohol. Now, Radio Cayman has been upholding this law ever since it was passed. Needed to say other entities bypass the law. And there are two ways that you can advertise intoxicating drinks. One, you just flat out do it, like, for example, I'll give you an example and say OC's Pub has a particular type of beer on sale today for $3.50. The other way is a lot of this sports events use the brewing companies as a source of revenue. So they're sponsored by the brewing company. So for instance, let's say we're having a big football game and this particular type of beer or they say OC's Brewing Company is bringing you let's say the under 30 football game tonight.
Or the special tonight is a bucket of whatever type of beer.
That's right.
for $4
That's
or
right.
whatever. Yeah.
So that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other subject, to discuss. However, probably about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, we stopped advertising alcohol and cigarettes on air because our focus switched, not only because of the law, but our focus switched to educating people about what alcohol does to the family, what alcohol does to the community.
Lifestyles.
And we've been promoting healthy lifestyles and also teaching young people the effects of smoking and what it does to your health and for those reasons. But private entities still use the avenue of alcohol for a lot of these sporting events, for a lot of these concerts, for a lot of things, still use minimal liquor advertising to promote the event through their programming, and therefore they are making money from the sale of alcohol while Radio Cayman is not. And I know you've had discussions on here with MLA Mr. Ezra Miller and Mr. Arden McLean and other members of the Legislative Assembly about making it a level playing field.
Yes.
About making it a level playing field. Not that we're saying we want to go back to that, but we're saying let the playing field be level.
Yep. We have two callers. We're going to try to get them in before we go to the news headlines. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
It's me again, see, every time I call you, I'll go to the news.
You go ahead and talk, though. We'll let you talk.
Yeah, because the last time I didn't finish.
Okay. Sorry about
I
that.
want to say this to the Caymanian people, Cayman Brass, Little Cayman, Grand Cayman. If they ever decide to sell Radio Cayman or to get up and march against it, we don't want that station going, because that's the only one coming to the Brack right now. We want that here. And I'll tell you one thing. I like in the nighttime, after the news, when you get that serenade, oh, God, that's beautiful. And when Susan come on, after the show done with the evening, what you call it, classic, man, on Saturday evening.
Country classics.
Saturday evening, man, you can't hurt that thing, man. You listen here, and don't ever do it. Everybody came and listen to it. And this company talk about young. I wonder why they never try old. Eh? They could have tried to old and old, you know. I would have told them what to do. Stop selling out the Cayman Island things. I don't care which member of the parliament hear me, who don't like it, tough luck. When they can't come lock me up, because they're going to get my thing. Shows them I'm a one-side stereo, but not get my cigarettes. But don't sell out Radio Cayman and stop selling out all the things on own.
Got you.
Okay?
Got you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, number one. We have one more caller. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, Miss Georgette.
Good morning, Miss Paulette. This
Good-
is Georgette Ebank.
Good morning, beautiful lady. How are you today?
I am so blessed by God. It would take me all day to tell you how He's blessed me personally and my family. And if I live to see this Friday, I'll be 87 years old, and I love Radio Cayman. I try to go to church every Sunday, but if for some reason I cannot go, what would I do without all those beautiful church services that come over the air?
Thank you.
And I think I heard Mr. Dolan say something about a march. Well, let me tell you, if anybody wants to march, I would be at the very head.
Good to know.
There's Radio Cayman. Are there some mad people on this island? And then another thing that frightens me in that report, sell off government land. Once the land is gone,
It's gone.
gone forever. And then whatever money you get for that land, before you know that will vanish away. Because we know governments have a habit of spending lavishly. We know that. That's a fact. But anyone in government who will really and truly, I have to say, Cayman sounds as if it's for sale. And if I should live to see another election, anyone who sells off Radio Cayman, the land, the water company which is making money, and any other entities that I don't have the time now to name, if I live, God knows, I would never, ever give them my vote. Please, please, all of you in government and in positions of authority, wake up and do what is right for the people of the Cayman Islands. Don't just think about yourselves. Think about the people, this generation and generations to come, and ask God to give you all wisdom to do what is right. That's the prayer I always make for all those in authority. And thank you for giving me this time, and God bless you all. And Miss Paulette, I'm sorry. I hope that you and your family and Mr. O.C., you and your family are all well too.
Thank you, Miss Georgette, for your good wishes.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Miss
great
Georgette,
day.
and the same to you as well. Thank you very much.
The island.
We're going to take a break now for the headline news, and after that, we will be right back. Please stay tuned. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have one caller online, and caller, I'm going to just ask you to be patient. We're going to come to your call in just a minute. I just, for the record, want to point out Ernest & Young's introduction their letter to the governor, Deputy Governor, Honorable Franz Manderson, on the 1st of September, and they talk about the fact that they were pleased to submit the report. They go on to say, we understand that the Cayman Islands government has undertaken a number of reviews of the public service over the past 10 years. You have asked us to assist in the Phase 5 rationalization review, which involves reviewing previous reports, identifying a range of recommendations that should be pursued to achieve government objectives and develop a roadmap for implementation. And it talks about the purpose of their report and the restrictions of its use as well. They go on to talk about the information contained in this report has been primarily based. So they're telling you how they got the information based on documents provided by the Cayman Islands government, interviews conducted with all Cayman Islands government departments and entities. And I am told just for that one that some people, when they went into the room with these interviews, they got the impression, just based on the atmosphere in the room, that it was already a foregone conclusion in terms of what recommendations would be made in terms of certain entities, and certain people had experiences, with that. So they said that their report has been primarily based on documents provided by CIG, interviews conducted with all CIG departments and entities, option testing, meetings conducted with selected CI government departments and entities, emails from CI government employees provided to us through a centrally managed project team, discussions with and consultation with the private sector stakeholders, secondary research conducted by E&Y. I don't see anything about talking to the people of the Cayman Islands in general, about some of these things that would affect them. And if that is done, maybe I'll find, some of that somewhere else in the report. But I just wanted to, as a starting point, to point out what Ernst & Young has said in that regard. Paulette, you wanted to say something?
Yes, just before we take the call, OC, I don't want anyone to think that I'm not fully aware of the situation the Cayman Islands government is in, and I don't want anyone to think that Radio Cayman staff are not cognizant of things that need to be done to streamline the budget, to streamline government on a whole. We personally, myself personally, and I'm sure you have, because of change of circumstances, we've all had to streamline our own budget, our own household budgets, and the way that we live to make ends meet and to make sure that our household runs properly like a well-oiled machine. We're very much aware, and I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, because I understand what government is trying to achieve. I understand the position that they're in, and being the deputy director, I have to assist with the proper running of Radio Cayman to make sure that the budget, I have to assist the director, and other members of staff also have to assist the director in making sure that our budget is such that the radio station is viable, that we're not a burden on the government. So I understand that side of it as well. But on the human side of it, emotions are running high. And with any proposal, with any changes, change is not easy to accept. But with any change, there has to be dialogue. There has to be well thought out ideas before you can take the next step. You wouldn't just jump and buy a $20,000 car knowing you only had $13,000 to spend. So it has to be dealt with, the whole restructuring process, the whole revitalization of the civil service. It has to be dealt with in a manner that's sensitive to the civil service on a whole, and that's just my personal view.
Sure, and of course, what you're doing here with us this morning is, singing Radio Cayman's praises in terms of what Radio Cayman has done, as well as giving us the historical perspective on broadcasting in the Cayman Islands, and being really really objective. And I must say, in my few months here at Radio Cayman, I've seen you guys operating on a shoestring budget, ensuring that every dollar that you spend on something, that it is it is scrutinized before you spend it. And I just want to remind the public that the premier has said on this radio station, on For the Record, that it won't happen under his watch as far as the privatization and selling of Radio Cayman, but we want to give him additional ammunition. We don't want people to say this was a government decision to keep Radio Cayman. We want to be able to say it was the Caymanian people's decision to retain Radio Cayman. We have 3 callers on the line, so we're going to take those callers now. 4 now, I'm told. So we're going to take them. First caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Jose.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Painful, but still very thankful that I can be listening to Radio Cayman.
Yep, and you will continue to.
And as I have always said and said many times, I normally have on 2 radios on Radio Cayman. Good morning, Miss Paulette.
Good morning. How are you today?
It's like I told OC, and I always tell a lot of people, I am painful but very thankful. You know why? I can still breathe, I can still get up, I can still talk, and I can still listen to Radio Cayman.
Amen.
And listen.
Yes, Mom.
About a budget. I remember when I had a budget of $35 from government weekly. So listen good to this now. I have been saying on both shows with Sterling and with OC that I want the copy of the 240 pages of what is it, EY, Honest and Young report, and that I would pay for it out of my $550. On hearing me?
Yep, we're listening.
And listen now. This I even stammering a little bit now, right? I'm kind of uptight here. Listen to me. I don't normally write out what I have to say when I get on to the talk shows for Radio Cayman, but I did this on Friday.
Wow.
And the majority of what I have written down was already said by the callers that are the big supporters and those that would march concerning Radio Cayman. OC and Miss Paulette, we have a big crowd out here. At our rest, okay? We have a big crowd out here that ready to march. I would be at front too in a wheelchair, okay?
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I don't think it's going to come to that. I think that there will be resolution, and I think that they will do what's best for the country. This is the 7th government that I've worked with since I've been at Radio Cayman, and I've seen governments come and governments go, and this is not the first time that they've talked about selling Radio Cayman. What I'm happy about is that this proposal has created dialogue where you, the people, can really say what Radio Cayman means to you, because it's been quite a while since we've heard from the people. Yes, we get comments daily. Yes, the staff is encouraged in person when you all meet us on the street or wherever. And yes, we get told beautiful broadcast today, thank you for coming and doing our church service and those kinds of things. But I don't think I've heard the passion of the people expressed quite so much as I have this past week since this report has come out. And I want to personally say thanks to you, the people of the Caymanian community who have supported Radio Cayman, not just by listening, but also all of our clients who spend money with us, and all of the people who help us to do the programs and contribute to Radio Cayman. We thank you. We thank you for being there for us and for the staff. And And surprisingly enough, we have to thank the government for keeping us on air since we've been formed, since our
Yeah,
inception.
and I've always enjoyed the support of the government.
Yes.
Caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. We still have three more callers to go through. Next caller, please. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Not bad at all. Good morning to Paulette.
Good morning, Carl.
The Cayman Islands, over time, required broadcasting services to be evolved. The first radio station was the ICCI station, a school station, which could only fulfill a little bit of mandate. And Radio Cayman came into being out of need. It still remains that. It has now become part of Seoul. And I think that government knows this. But there are private interests who would like to have Radio Cayman be absorbed in the woodwork of being sold out. And you can't blame them because Radio Cayman is a part of the advertising revenue scene of the Cayman Islands. What would be...
Plus, they know a good deal when they see it.
Yes, they do. And it came from nowhere. And as OC and has acknowledged, Radio Cayman has always worked on a shoestring budget. There, over the years, you can see absolutely no wastage of funds in how they've operated. What they have delivered, nobody else will. Nobody else is going to pick up the mantle of making sure that the Caymanian culture and accent is predominant and strong enough to go from generation to generation over the air. No private entity is going to do that. During a hurricane, no private entity is going to sit there and have their station and their personnel stay there as citizens and patriotic citizens, stay on duty during a hurricane while their families and their homes are at risk.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's no private entity that's going to do that. Radio Cayman has earned its keep. There is a lot of change in the landscape through, it's not the first time as Paulette has alluded, but over the years there have been a number of pressures that have been placed on government. And some of them have been political contribution pressures coming from sources who have an interest in having a government elected and have decided to try to call their favor by asking the government to have Radio Cayman put on the chopping block because it would suit their economic interest. Mm-hmm. And wisely, governments over the years have resisted that invitation. I would venture to suggest that there is no government that's going to be brave enough, having been confronted with the facts that Caymanians love their voice through Radio Cayman and will not tolerate anybody who is going to threaten that. So, there are two things. One, it is economically viable. It is not a drain on the government. It is a part of government, but there is a fallacy that's been going on out there that we have grown government to this exorbitant mountain, and we have done so willy-nilly. We have made some mistakes. One of them definitely is the Public Management Finance Law, which, if really investigated, has cost this country more money than it's worth.
Mm-hmm. Plus, caller, the civil servants are taking the brunt of this, but we really have to ask the question: has it been the civil servants who have created the problems, or the politicians who get in and who spend government's money in some instances in a reckless fashion, and they're the ones who have put us in the situation that we're in?
The policymakers are the ones who decide. The
Yep.
civil servants are the ones who have been told to carry out the mandate.
Precisely.
They have been given the wrong end of the stick and the wrong end of the knife over and over and over. Another thing that is indisputable: our country has grown significantly over the years, and we have become a financial powerhouse in the world of finance. Of course, to the chagrin of many, including a neighbor who is now challenged by the Scottish vote. I will not go there right now. But it is a fact that part of why we have been a success as a country financially is because we have a government organism and apparatus that has worked hand, fist, and glove with the financial industry, growing to meet the needs, legal services, fiduciary oversight, and all of that has grown as a result of some of the same people who are asking for the opportunity to use a machine.
Precisely, caller. We're going to ask you to leave us there, though, for now. We have 2 more callers that we want to try to get through before the 9:30 hour. So thanks for those observations, and you have a great day. Next caller, please. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Shea and Ms. Connolly.
Good
Good morning. How are you, sir?
Oh, thankful to the good Lord and spare our lives to another blessed day. And before we go any further, we're going to pray about this very strong, that Radio Cayman will stay on the airways. And I want to say this again, that this is my first time for calling to your show, Mr. Connolly. I called on the other show, Dwayne show, Mr.
Okay,
But this is the first time I called your show, but I enjoy your talk show.
Thank you very much. As long as you're listening, that's great, because we want to impart information to you.
Thank you very much. And I want to agree with those callers, the every caller that I heard this morning. I know I heard one say, that get rid of Radio Cayman. And I agree, each and every one that says stick it out with Radio Cayman. This is a very, very important station. This is a valuable something that we have, and we cannot afford to lose it. It looks like we want to sell everything that is valuable. It seems like, I haven't thought about want to sell the airlines sometimes, and then it's about, I guess, trying to do away with the Portland, Georgetown. I mean, it is, and the beaches, the beaches that was so valuable was sold out. I guess we're not gonna highlight a piece of that left, and you try to buy it back.
Yeah, we either sold it or we've leased it for long-term 99 years, and those 99 years will never come, because they will renew and renew. So, Caymanians will never see the use of those properties that we have leased out to private entities, lands that we've leased out.
True. And you try to buy it back, so what will happen? You can't. It's too dear then after they buy it from you.
Yep.
You can't buy it back.
Right.
And this is a valuable thing that we have Radio Cayman. I appreciate it very much. The church services, as other people have been saying, it's good to listen to up till sometime at 10 o'clock at night. You can still get good, gospel.
Exactly. Yep.
And it's a wonderful thing. And we don't know if we sell it, who will take it over, what will become of it then,
Precisely.
Yeah. So
okay.
I know my wife will agree with this, and to keep Radio Cayman going, in the hurricane season, and in the hurricane time, of giving you the reports and the weather reports, and there's so much things that we could just talk about it that's so valuable that we not got time to talk it on one spell talk show, you know what I mean? But everybody put in there and give their good opinions about it, and this is something that we need to keep.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much for that, and you have a great day, and continue to listen, and feel free to call in any time that you want on the show. We have to go to a break right now. I just want to remind you that For the Record is brought to you by Champion House 2 and Champion House Cafe. Champion House Restaurant 2 is located on Eastern Avenue, and Champion House Cafe at 1 Butterfield Place, which is formerly Comart. Champion House is a family-oriented restaurant where locals and others dine. Also, For the Record is brought to you by the Auto Spa on Godfrey Nixon Way. You can stop by Radio Cayman or the Auto Spa and ask for your $5 savings coupon for your next full-service watch. We have a couple of callers on the line. We're asking those callers to be extremely patient. You're going to get your call in. You're going to have your say, even if we have to go beyond the 9:30 hour for that. So please stay tuned. We will be back shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going to go straight to our callers who have been extremely patient, awaiting. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Miss Daphne?
I'm doing well, thank thank you, and good morning to Ms. Paulette as well.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. I just want to say that I've spoken about this briefly before about the Ernst & Young report to government. And first of all, I just want to say that I applaud government for taking steps to see if they can find ways to streamline and do whatever it is that needs to be done to cut costs and to try to keep the country from continually getting into this spiraling debt situation.
Precisely.
However, I also want to say that I have very, very high regard for Ernst & Young. Mr. Dan Scott and his team, I'm sure, would have as great an interest in what happens in Cayman as any of us. I don't think we can claim to be any more dedicated citizens than they are. However, I will say that the report makes recommendations, I believe, and in some cases, suggestions. I guess it's like an architect who's working with the owner of a house. You know, the architect may come and say, well, I think this would look good here, or I think this might be the way to go with this. And the owner could come in and say, listen, in this case, no, that is something I don't want, or that is something which I must have. He can go through this and decide this is not what I want to touch right now. I just want thus and so. The same thing is with the government. They have this document, which is a very long document. That'll be as quick as possible. And it behooves each of us look at all of the different areas where there are recommendations or suggestions from Ernst & Young to the government to say this is what I think needs to be considered. At the end of the day, one of the things that this government needs to clearly keep in mind all the time is that while they may be extremely careful with any changes that are made or any decisions that are made regarding any changes, they don't know who the next government might be coming in there. We've seen this happen before, where there are individuals that if you sold out every inch of government's property and put the money in there, they won't know how to handle it. So in a short time, or even in a little while, we'll find that we have no land and little money. So what I'm saying is, Radio Cayman is one of the entities that I don't think the government will even think of doing it, but the discussion about it is very timely, and I think it's very important that we do. Paulette is aware that I worked at the station for a few years, mainly in the newsroom area, and I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm thankful I wasn't with Mr. Dunlop, but I can tell you Mr. Loxley was very careful about the content of programming. The staff there were very, they wanted to make sure that there was a variety, and that the same thing has happened when Miss McField went on there. I know that she and the staff worked together well. Now, what I would like to implore the public to do is to support Radio Cayman to the hilt with their advertising. There are so many radio stations which have sprung up in the last several years. They're not doing so simply because they want to do a radio station. They want to make money. They want to have a piece of pie. However, Radio Cayman was there for many years. We know its value. I don't have to reiterate that on the air this morning. But the public needs to be aware that this is the kind of radio station that you're not going to find every which way out there in Cayman. And we need that station. It is the people's radio station. It is the radio station which I would term it belongs to the Caymanian people. And we need such a station. It's like advertising in the newspaper. We have one newspaper now that's come online. I'm not just sure how much. But every time I go to the store, I pick it up, and I'm thinking.
Okay, caller, in the interest of time, if you could sort of wrap it up for us, please.
Thank you very much. But what I'll say to you, both and anyone who's listening, I am totally in support of Radio Cayman continuing to be a government entity. It is the People's Radio. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Ms. Daphne. Thank you very much. You too, also. Next caller, please. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning, I was not bad. Morning, Paulette.
Good morning. Morning.
I couldn't help but I always listen in my vehicle. But it brought to mind some politician, I don't remember who, Manley or Bustamante. One of them said, "How long shall my people suffer?" I mean, what is... I cannot fathom all the governments prior to this one and this one. Every government solicits these big companies to do these reports, and every report is just the same thing. Why are we spending $155,000 for them to tell you what a previous one that cost $200,000 told us? I mean, who wants to get rid of it? Who wants to get rid of the water company? The only entity, or one of the few entities of government, quasi-government, that or whatever you call them, that is making money. I do not understand why, and this is not disrespectful to Dan Scott and his company, or Price Waterhouse, or whoever.
Ernst & Young, sorry.
Or Ernst & Young. I mean, I was referring to Price Waterhouse doing something else.
Oh, okay, sorry.
What I'm trying to say is, we, the people of this country, have elected 15 representatives. Am I to understand that collectively they don't have enough intelligence to make the proper decisions comes to whatever happens to this country? That they have to pay exorbitant funds to private entities to tell them something that will never happen? I mean, I am baffled. Not only in this, but in my own business and countless other businesses. Mm-hmm. I mean, foreigners, and I'm not against foreigners because we want foreigners. There has to be a way, and these people that we elect have to collectively understand that they have to formulate things that will cause the people, the indigenous Caymanians, to have work and have it abundantly.
That's correct.
So when they sell up these things to these, and which local company, entrepreneur is going to do that? It's going to be a company from Bermuda, England, or Delaware, or somewhere.
Yeah, and they certainly don't have a good track record so far.
Exactly. What is happening is that I think individually they don't want to make decisions. When they come together collectively, there's so much confusion. So they're not paying somebody else to suggest things to them. And most of the time, the suggestions are to the fun.
Yeah, and maybe
it's a fruitless endeavor,
Yeah, maybe what the government should say is, this is what we want to do. Tell us how to do it. Not go out there and say, tell us, what we should do. We want to tell you how to do it. That's maybe what we should have been done, by the government. But caller, I want to thank you, for that. Sorry, I have to go on to another caller. But thanks for listening, and please continue to call in and voice your opinion.
You guys have a good day.
Thank you very much. We have 2 more callers on the line, and I'm going to just say that we're going over the time at this point in time, so we're going to ask our callers to be as brief as possible in terms of their presentations, and then give us an opportunity to respond. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yes. Oh, very well, very well. It's great to hear you and Paulette there. This is Alice May.
Yes, ma'am. Voice is so distinctive.
oh dear, I can't realize that, sorry. The good and bad of that. Anyway, I remember in the 60s when Radio Cayman was just an idea. In fact, someone lives quite near to me who kept pushing that idea for us. But I remember the joy it was in 76 when our own radio station came on air. And there is rarely a day that my radio doesn't get turned on. And when it's turned on, it's Radio Cayman. we have to stop measuring everything worthwhile in life by the dollar bill. Like Miss Paulette spoke about the heart. I mean, there's something in the hearts of us Caymanians for Radio Cayman and for our land. We have so little of the land left held by the Crown and in trust for the people of the Cayman Islands. But that's one thing that any government must think long and hard before they dare even put that on the market. But Radio Cayman needs to be there. It is something owned by, loved by, and needed by all the people of the Cayman Islands, that we have something to listen to. And I'm not going to go any further because it would need a half an hour for me to say all the things that I would like to say about the Ernst & Young report. They're a very good report, and I think instead of jumping on board and saying, yeah, good idea, let's sell, let's do this, it can be used as a guideline by the government to say, well, these are the areas we really have to do something about. Concentrate on ways to make them better, retain ownership of everything that we can retain ownership of, because Caymanians have very little to call their own. And this is not being anti-investors or developers, but we need to hold on to something for ourselves. But each one of us, private citizens, the public service, everyone, we must do our part to make anything and everything that is for the good of the people of the Cayman Islands. We must work together to make it successful. And that's all I'll say today. God bless everyone and the Cayman Islands, and thank God for protecting us in all instances. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Miss Alice Mills. One famous politician has said, I couldn't have said it any better. We have another caller. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning. I am just happy for all the things that Miss Alice just said, because I don't think I could say it any better than she said it. But just for the memories, we grew up with shortwave radio Bonaire and all of that in the Netherlands, Antilles. And when Radio Cayman came on air, it was a wonderful thing to have something for ourselves. So I would really suggest that before they do decide to sell Radio Cayman, they have to think about what's going to be left for the Caymanian people. Because we don't have anything left for us.
The pie is getting smaller and smaller. Our slice of it is getting smaller and smaller at times.
Radio Cayman has a very great staff. I mean, if you have to deal with either one of them on any given day, it's gonna be a good experience for you. And it's wonderful to hear our own people, the programs that are aired, even the little Caymanian stories that come on Saturday mornings. I know if they sell a radio station, that's the first thing they're gonna take off the air. But I am asking, I am begging, I am pleading with the government to remember the people who voted you in there. Remember the promises that you made to the people that voted you in there. Do not sell Radio Cayman. Thank you very much. God bless the Cayman Islands, and you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, caller, and God bless you also. What we're going to do, Radio Cayman, we need to get a copy of this tape afterwards. We need to send it to Cabinet Secretary. I hope you're listening. I know you're listening. We're going to send it by way of the Cabinet Office to the Cabinet, a copy of this tape, and say, here are the voices of the people of the Cayman Islands that we hope will influence your decision on the retention of Radio Cayman as a government entity for the people of the Cayman Islands. Before I come back to you, Paulette, I just want to, it's important for us to put the Ernst & Young report in the proper context and the proper perspective. Paragraph 12.1, sell Radio Cayman now. Now they give you options, right? Government exit with appropriate oversight. And how do we do that? Trade, sale, IPO, initial public offering, or a partial sell down, IPO, full exit. Private sector involvement with contractual controls, outsourcing, 1 to 3 year contracts. Other option, franchise / concessions, 5 to 30 year exclusive contract. Public-private partnership, PPP, or JV, joint venture, requires investment commitments. Retain within government and pursue efficiencies or restructuring, another option. Retain/change to a government department and pursue improvement. Retain/change to a statutory authority or government corporation and pursue commercialization. Another option, merge or abolish. Now, 12.1, sell Radio Cayman now. And I'm reading verbatim. We have one caller. We'll be right to the caller. This option involves the immediate pursuit of a sale of Radio Cayman. Outright trade sale with a limited government contract to provide community, cultural, and emergency services. We do question the extent to which a sale would appeal to the commercial market, given that non-government revenues represent only a third of overall revenues. However, are advertised that interest has been expressed. So, however, it has been advertised that interest has been expressed. It is likely that the government would have to enter into a contract with a new owner for the provision of community and emergency services and for the delivery of cultural programs and local content. So it's likely that we would have to enter into a contract. So government still becomes responsible for doing it, for looking out for the people in that way. The benefit the government would be that it would most likely be able to secure a fixed cost for a multi-year contract, and in due course could tender this work to all broadcasters to achieve pricing efficiency. Staffing would likely benefit through the wider career opportunities afforded by a private sector operator. Well, that last sentence there, staff would likely benefit through the wider career opportunities afforded by a private sector operator. If what has happened in the past few days in terms of Caymanian redundancies in a particular private sector company in the Cayman Islands, this sentence here is not appropriate and has no meaning and gives no comfort to the staff of Radio Cayman. Let's take the caller. Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. O.C., if I were the government, I wouldn't sell Radio Cayman. You know what can happen? They can sell Cayman Airways, and for you to get anyway, you can have to do like what the Cubans do. Take boat for it, go somewhere else country, and that's it.
And we shouldn't have to do that, because we did that once before and we came back and we built this country. We built this country on hard work and sweat.
Yes, sir. I know that. I have did that myself. But remember, if I was the government, forget about selling Radio Cayman. They can soon sell themselves too. Watch what I tell you. Okay, O.C. Thanks.
Thank you very much. But again, in all fairness, the Premier has said it won't be under his watch. We just given him the foundation and the support that he needs. If he gets any opposition, anyone tries in any way to railroad it. Miss Paulette. Oh, we got a caller again too? Caller, good morning and welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor.
Morning, Blonde. How are you?
I'm very grateful. And how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Yes. I'd just like to say, welcome you on For the Record, and it is so pleasant having someone of your caliber and on this show. And I would also like to make a statement referring to what you said, that in your opinion they should have went with the intention of stating that they would like their assistance and helping them, to go forward with what they want.
Right.
Not them asking them. to tell them what they should do. And I think with the high-paid salaries that we have in government, I think we should have, and I think we do have, people that are capable of making those kind of recommendations and those decisions. And maybe you should have been on that panel. Maybe they should use your expertise and your education and all your credentials to help assist the government in going forward. I think you're needed in that position so badly. However, I was very pleasantly surprised by what you came to this show with, that you were able to speak so objectively and so confident, not being afraid, of any repercussions. But the way you speak on this radio, it's very enlightening, and I would like to see the radio station continued. And the last thing I would like to say is that Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks, I mean, they're attacking the places that Caymanians would lose jobs as well. But Sterling has been an icon on this radio station.
No question about that.
He has been so well-mannered. He has been so polite. He has been so patient. He has been humorous. And that is Caymanian. So I would just like to leave it with that this morning, with others as well. But I'm thinking of him hosting the show. You couldn't find anyone else to replace him, and that is a true Caymanian.
That is correct. He does an excellent job.
And you have a very good day.
Thank you, Blondie. Thank you very much for those kind words, and please continue to listen to For the Record and to Radio Cayman in general.
Yes, and if it doesn't happen here, I know you'll have your own radio station.
Now, I'm going to hit the pavement with everybody else, to make sure that Radio Cayman stays.
Right, but if it happens, because we have some very, very soft backbones in this country, especially the men. Their backbones are very soft and they're very intimidated. I know you are different, but thank you and have a good day.
Thank you very much. You too. Ms. Paulette.
I've just been sitting here listening to the callers and taking in everything that's been said by the general public, and I must say that I'm overwhelmed by emotions. I've been at Radio Cayman quite a long time, but it's been a few years since I've really heard the pulse of the public, so to speak, and the way that they have expressed what Radio Cayman means to them has renewed my faith in the Caymanian people. Having worked for Radio Cayman all these years, and Radio Cayman being run by the government, I have to be objective. I've strived to be objective. And I just want to say that in all the negotiations, in all the planning, in all of the considerations about the restructuring of the civil service and going through this report, my prayer is that you would let God guide you to do the right thing for all the people of the Cayman Islands. The management and staff of Radio Cayman appreciates the support of the public. We appreciate the way that you've stood by Radio Cayman, and we know that everything will work together for good for those that love God. Whatever is going to happen is in God's hands, and we will wait and see what happens. But we are going to hold the Premier to his word that Radio Cayman will not be sold.
That's correct. And in the meantime, the spirits and the morale of the staff at Radio Cayman will continue to be high.
Yes, it will be. We will do our best, as we've done in the past, to make sure that we do everything that's humanly possible to serve the people of the Cayman Islands through Radio Cayman. Thank you for the opportunity this morning to share in the show with you. I hope that I have been able to relate to the wider community how much you mean to us and how much our jobs rely on you and your support. And I don't think Radio Cayman is going to go away. It might be in a different form if that's what the government feels is necessary, but I don't think Radio Cayman will ever go away. And, just continue to keep us in your prayers. We need your prayers, we need your support, and the country as a whole, because the whole country is going through changes. So just be strong, and let's be there for each other.
Okay. And I just want to say that we're not finished with the Ernst & Young report, that we're going to go into it in more detail. We want to ensure that we treat the report as fairly as possible, and we're going to be, during the course of the next few days, weeks, months, we're going to be discussing more and more of this as well. Folks, I want to remind you that For the Record has been proudly brought to you by Champion House Restaurant 2 and Champion House Cafe. Champion House Restaurant 2 is located on Eastern Avenue, and Champion House Cafe at 1 Butterfield Place, which is formerly Comart. Champion House is a family-oriented restaurant where locals and others dine, and we also have a new sponsor on board. For the Record is also brought to you by the Auto Spa on Godfrey Nixon Way. Stop by Radio Cayman or the Auto Spa and ask for your $5 savings coupon for your next full service wash. I also want to say that this report involves other government entities as well, and if and whenever the heads of those entities can get on the air and talk about the report, once if they're allowed to talk about the report, and also to sing your praises to the public out there. I'm sure the public already know. They know the benefit of the Water Authority. People know or suspect what is likely to happen when it falls into private ownership, whether or not their rates will go up, whether or not they will have the same quality, of service. I want to encourage you that For the Record is the platform from which you can launch, your assault against any threat that may be real or imminent in relation to your existence. You can do it here. So we will reach out to you to welcome you here, or you can reach out to us and say that you want to come here and talk about the Ernst & Young report and the implications that it has for your particular entity. We have gone over by almost half an hour this morning. I want to thank Ms. Paulette again for being here, and I also want to leave you with these special words, that we are our brothers and our sisters' keeper. In this case, by keeping our brothers and our sisters, by keeping Radio Cayman, we're keeping our brothers and our sisters as well. There's always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to hold out reach out a helping hand to them. And if you can't, then you should give to a worthy charity. And we always have the words of Mr. Billy Withers to take you on from here. So have a great day. Stay tuned to Radio Cayman. Continue to support Radio Cayman. God bless.